You got that big target. You want that move. So if I'm playing on any of these lower clubs, I want to show that I can play with that team. I want that contract. I want to be competing for Champions League and La Liga.
All right, so this is very interesting. Barcelona have the same number of La Liga points under Hansi Flick as they did with Xavi at this point in the season last year. That's wild, because it felt like the narrative last year with this Barcelona side was just about what is going on and just kind of how toxic everything seemed. And then if you look back just a few weeks ago, the way that we were talking about Barcelona, they're the best club in Europe, and fast forward to today, that ain't the conversation we are having.
Who's the best team in the world right now?
Oh,
You're trying to give her alley-oops all day.
Oh,
You see her
all day.
She's blushing.
Oh, you know. But Charlie, for real, when we look at the recent struggles of Barcelona, what do you put it down to?
Lack of communication and in terms of the press. I mean, you have to be dialed in communication and know exactly where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be, and then just poor decision making, right, in defending. We've seen how good they look attacking, and that's why it's hard to imagine that Hansi Flick and his Barcelona side this season is playing or has the same amount of points as Xavi did in last season. When
Different league layout, though, right?
Also,
They
you
were
could
also
just tell,
in
like,
fourth place last
in
year
terms
with
of how
34
they
points at this
attacked
time.
and the amount of chances they're creating is very different from the way Xavi was playing, where it felt like Xavi's in the attacking third, it just wasn't clicking and they weren't generating chances. Hansi Flick's side, they're generating chances. They're missing some big opportunities, but in terms of the way that they're playing, it looks good. They're higher up the field, but then on the flip side, when you make bad decisions, it really hurts you. At the same time, as well as they have done in the beginning of this season to kind of propel themselves to feeling like they can win the title and overtake Real Madrid, and Real Madrid have been stumbling because of these past 3 matches. Now Real Madrid jump back into a pole position, and they feel like, hey, as bad as it's been for us, it's not that bad.
They have a game in hand as well.
Yeah.
Right. So Barcelona had a real opportunity to distance themselves from a struggling Real Madrid. And now, because of these past 3 matches, and they win the 3-0 in Champions League against Brest, you would think, okay, that's what you needed, but it goes back to a complete disaster defending, and now Real Madrid have a perfect opportunity to get some guys back health. Rodrigo's getting back to health. You have Vinny Jr., who's got a muscle strain, but you feel like he's not too far away. Mbappe has been misfiring for days, and it feels like they're not getting back up to speed. They get the win, and it feels like Real Madrid are finally slowly getting back to where they need to be.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for form. You know, we talked about it when we're looking at the Prem. Is the Prem race over? We'll see. But here in La Liga, we thought Barcelona, they are back. They're balling. They're killing everybody. But I think one thing that we forget sometimes at the desk is that seasons are rarely ever linear. You rarely ever see a team that is just, once they start hot, they're always hot.
We're so used to seeing Manchester City do it. I mean, there's a reason why they've won 4 Premier League titles in a row.
Exactly, but I think we also forget, too, with Man City, that that's an anomaly in terms of teams just being able to run away with things. And from a neutral standpoint, I got to be honest, this is what we want to see. We want to see Real Madrid being able to compete against Barcelona. This is what we want.
It's breathed new life into the La Liga and the title chase, because for a while there it looked like it was completely over. I agree with you. And when it comes to FC Barcelona, sure, the last 3 matches haven't been great, but by no means did the match against Las Palmas worry me. And I'm not even a Barcelona fan, but just watching. I mean, just look at the tail of the tape, right? 70% possession, 27 total shots, 8 on target. That versus a team that only had 5 total shots, 3 on target. They took their opportunities when they got it. FC Barcelona didn't. When Lamine Yamal comes back, it's going to be a completely different story.
And Las Palmas did an excellent job defending in the low block as well, and that's not easy.
Also, Fabio Silva, put some respect on that man's name, bro. You know, people thought he was done after Wolves, and look, he goes to a position, he goes to a place where he gets a little bit more playing time, and he's killing it right now.
And was it the Celta Vigo result where they were up 2-0 and then allowed 2 late goals to let them? So, Charlie, when you talk about those defensive issues, do you see enough of them that you're like, Hansi Flick is going to be able to correct this.
Yeah,
Like, this is very fixable and in a quick matter of time.
It's very simple. I mean, if Jalil was on the pitch, right, it was one of those things where we'd say, simply communicate. We're up 2-0. It's the 83rd minute. There is no reason for us to be playing that type of high line at this stage of the game. And that's where Hansi Flick has to say, okay, I know our identity is to be high pressing, high up the field, get our center backs high, but also you have to be able to adapt to what the game is. And at that stage of the game, Casado's on the yellow, just being aware of certain players, go to a mid-block.
Those are things. Those are things that you can fix in the film room. You look at that line is way too ridiculously too high.
They did it at the Bernabeu.
And
you don't think they're going to keep doing it at Las Palmas?
Yeah, that's the whole point. Though is having to learn from these mistakes, right? And if you're dropping these points in these big games, and yes, they've been culpable of missing big opportunities. I look at Rafinha; he hit the post in that game, and it would have been 3-0. But you also know throughout the season there's going to be times where you just have to say, you know what, let's lock it down. Let's come away with 3 points.
You're normally in an issue when you don't have the personnel, you don't have the ability to score goals. But when I look at especially defensive principles, firsthand, you look at things in the film room and you're like, okay, wait, our line was way too high. Next time we're in this moment, drop the line. Those are things that you can fix. If you're in situations where, okay, we can't break the lines, we can't get in goal scoring opportunities, that's when you're in trouble. But these defensive principles, the way that they're getting themselves in trouble, you just need to have, sometimes it's a come to Jesus moment where it's like, hey, in the moments of the game where we're tired, we need to drop the line as opposed to step the line up. And these are things that you can fix, and Barcelona needs to fix them. And I don't have any reservation in terms of thinking that they will.
I love those lines, though. I'll tell you that. As a striker, you're going to come up to half.
Those are for you.
Hey, send me.
When you look at their last 3 results, and Las Palmas is in 14th, Celta Vigo is in 11th, Real Sociedad is in 10th. What happens when they're playing the Real Madrids, the Atletico Madrids? Like, what do they change their game? I mean, like, how would they be even more punished?
We've all been guilty in the locker room when you're playing a team that's a lower quality in your mind.
And do you think that's what's happening?
Yeah, they're coming down.
It's just kind of
the expectations is we're gonna crush this team. They don't really have that much quality. Maybe the intensity comes down just a little bit. You're caught sleeping. I mean, Jules Koundé on a couple of those plays. Against Bayern Munich, they demolish them. Against the teams that you're supposed to show up and you know you're playing against bigger teams, they've shown up. But against the lower teams,
they took their foot off the pedal.
From a psychological standpoint, the lower the team is in the table, the harder it is to get up for it. Some of them preseason games, sometimes, in all honesty, sometimes you don't even want to play against a team that's so far down the table because psychologically you're just like, oh, we're going to win this game. And then it's tied at halftime or we're losing 2-0, what's going on here?
They have
Charlie,
every
go run up there, go score some goals.
Remember the Liverpool wins we showed? What was the Southampton was the one that gave them the toughest match?
100%.
You have to know, whether you're Liverpool, whether you're Manchester City, Barcelona, Real Madrid.
You got the target on your back.
You got that big target. You want that move. So if I'm playing on any of these lower clubs, I want to show that I can play with that team. I want that contract. I want to be competing for Champions League and La Liga.
Yeah, but we do have a title race on our hands.
We do.